highly competitive afternoon. I think you'll agree. 211, 201, Steelsmith moves on. His next challenge then is Norm Duke. He survives 222 to 203. Then another great player. In steps Wayne Webb and Rick Steelsmith. 7 strikes, 237 to 197, and now goes into the final game against Brian Voss for the championship. We're at the PBA National Championship, and the PBA Bowler of the Year by the Bowling Writers of America was Walter Ray Williams, and I'm sure that's no surprise as John Jowdy, president of the Bowling Writers, makes the presentation a little bit earlier right here in Toledo, Ohio.
The third Bowler of the Year award for Walter Ray, well-deserved. He's been a dominant player out here for years, and here's the Triple Crown poster that has just been embossed, brought on by the PBA. It's terrific, isn't it, Chris?
Yes, it's a limited edition of 1,000 prints created by Phil Ferguson. All right, now we're ready for the championship match. 30 to the winner, 15 to the runner-up. A handshake. And it'll be Steelsmith in his 4th game, while Brian Voss has stayed loose by occasionally throwing a ball and then coming here now, ready for action.
Wow, what an opening shot by Steelsmith. He just bushwhacks the whole rack. Shot we haven't seen all day. Almost everything has been solid when a guy got a strike. A very confident start against one of the great ones.
Look where Voss is set up for this shot. Two for 5-7, though.
Interesting observation, Chris. He's way far left on the approach. As you see, 7 rounds, 56 games. And he sends the ball wide on this right-hand lane. Remember, we said it's tighter. And Voss does not get back to the pocket. What a tough start as he chops a 2-4-5 off the 7. And one other interesting thing we can follow here, Chris, when I heard him hit those pins and knock 6 downs, he had a broken pin. Not these pins, but in the original rack, there was a broken pin. And he'll shoot that rack every single time. There's 20 pins in a rack. So Steelsmith will bowl on the right-hand lane with 10 solid pins. Voss, unless he changes something, will bowl against a broken pin. Interesting.
That's the comeback of a champion who's been idled off to the right as tournament leader, having to wait through 3 matches, whereas his opponent, Rick Steelsmith, has won 3 and had to bowl his heart out in order to do it. Rick coming up high on the right lane. He has left the 6-10. 3 matches, defeating Tom Chris, a non-winner, but then he went in against 2 heavyweights, Norm Duke and Wayne Webb, and advanced to the finals. Beautiful. Here's Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Wayne, you're throwing the ball really well. You start off with 4 in a row, and then it all fell apart, especially right there at the end.
You know, when I left the 9-pin, I dropped the ball going for the spare and obviously missed it. And the right lane had a little hang on it, and I knew if I pushed it to the gutter, it was probably going to fall in. So what did I do? I pushed it to the gutter and it fell in. You know, but what are you going to do? I think I played him wrong. I should have played in. Can't go back on it now. It was just a good week. I was happy to be here.
Good performance. Good luck in Erie. Back to you, Chris.
Well, an attitude that has helped him win 19 titles and get into the PBA Hall of Fame. Wayne Webb. Here now, Rick Steelsmith has left the 10-pin on the left lane. Next week in Erie, a different time, 1 p.m. 12 Central instead of our usual starting time of 3 p.m. Eastern.
Let's hear if we can hear the sound of that broken pin. That'll cut down your pin action, give you less pop. Did not hear it on that particular shot, but if Brian Voss recognizes that, he can stop the action and ask them to check the pins. And basically, you take them out and just tap them on the ground, see which one's broken, and have it replaced.
So, can he do that?
Yes, he can. Now, he may not be aware that there's a broken pin, and I'm not saying it will have a negative effect, but it has no positive effect. And if it was me that heard it, I would stop the action, because you just don't get the bounce with once a pin is broken. And it happens often. I mean, pins are not there forever.
Well, Bo, you worked around those 10 pins a lot as a youngster growing up.
I set them by hand.
You ought to know the sound.
Well, we may hear it again.
All right. Strike for Voss, and we'll be back.
The Professional Bowlers Tour on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Kellogg's. With good taste, nutrition, and value, the best to you each morning from Kellogg's. New Tagamet HB 200. For heartburn, it blocks acid fast with new Tagamet HB 200. And Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
The PBA National Championship is reaching or nearing its halfway point. Here is Rick Steelsmith, leading by 10. Six strikes in his first victory, 7 strikes in his second, 7 in his third.
Attended Wichita State on a bowling scholarship, and is also the recipient of the 1987 Billy Whaley Memorial Scholarship, which helped get him through college and become one of the great players today. Once again, he has never won a singles championship other than the Masters, which is a match game championship, when he was an amateur.
Smiling at that 8-pin.
All right, just throws the ball through the break here. A little adrenaline flowing, and he's been kind of feathering the ball down there, controlling his power. This time he winds up with that high backswing and just slings it through the break and gets an easy spare to shoot at, the 8-pin. He will maintain his 10-pin lead.
And checking the surface for his slide on the left lane as Voss is ready to go to work, and he has a strike up in the 4th, and now he shoots in the 5th frame, and he can make it even.
Well, we saw Wayne Webb send one off into the moat, and here Brian Voss throwing the ball over the second arrow, kind of hangs in the thumb. He slips on to what we kind of call the out of bounds here on the Pro Bowlers Tour, and that's what makes that outside unplayable. Slips off into the gutter, but he needs to collect his thoughts. He's right in this match, and actually is used to, with this lane condition we have out here right now, throwing some gutter balls. So make the spare, and you'll only trail by 10. Well, in reality, that first ball was as good as 9. Look at the scoreboard. You could have got a solid 10-pin there in the 4th frame and made the spare, and the 5th frame and made the spare, and he'd had the same result. So he's right back in it. Control your thoughts. He should hit this left-hand lane. This is the lane he chose to finish on by being the higher finisher, and it's the one that favors that deep inside line. Plus, he doesn't have to contend with the ball return.
4-7, the man that has 17 PBA titles.
As you You see Voss attacking the left-hand lane, and this is the 18th frame we've had in the championship round without a double. That's 18 frames. The pressure's getting to him and the lane condition.
Players are really surveying the score sheet off to our right and their right.
It's a matter of adjustments now. Both these players know how to bowl. Steelsmith with the advantage. He's zeroed.
His second 8 of this championship match. This is hard-earned money, though.
No doubt, Chris. And, it's been a hard road for this guy. He's had shoulder problems, rotator cuff problems, went through a 15-pound ball, then back here 2 years ago to a 16-pound ball, and now he's on the verge of finally getting some of the fruits of all that labor.
Tremendous international competition, and bowling is an international game.
Well, you look at both these players. Brian Voss kind of earned his medal over in Europe in the United States Army, bowling throughout Europe, learned to bowl in Alaska. His dad was in the Air Force, and his dad ran a bowling center in Alaska. So these guys can hit all lane conditions, and right now they're in a situation where they are in one of the toughest conditions for a national championship.
And it being so tough, I'm sure Roxanne, Steelsmith, and Kayla are sweating it out back in Wichita, whereas Andrea Voss and Joshua and Cameron in Atlanta are just saying, come on, Brian, in front of the ball return.
If you play the big hook, the right-hand lane is the tougher of the two lanes in this championship pair. Dick Weber, when he won many a title on this championship pair, liked to finish on the right-hand lane because he was a down and in player. For the hook ball players like we have out there, the big hookers, you have the left-hand lane that favors both players. So Voss has got to get zeroed here.
And for Brian, that is his second open frame in the championship match here in Toledo.
Well, Brian's a patient player, and he led this tournament, and I watched him. He was very patient. You can't get too far behind, but even 25 pins is not an insurmountable lead with 3 frames to go. A player can make a major mistake, and 2 or 3 strikes, you're right back into it. It behooves Rick Steelsmith to throw some strikes here. Voss, even though he's floundered through the first 7 frames, has a potential 203. Steelsmith only going at a 198 pace. Don't feel that you're going to win it with 198.
Just didn't come up.
The word the players have used all week long is shot maker's condition, shot maker's condition. Walter Ray Williams Jr., I saw him walking out of the building this morning. He faulted himself for not making the top 5 in this tournament. He says, I just didn't make the shots. And that's what Steelsmith is doing now. It's not a protective mode, but you got to get the ball light of the head pin.
All right, that's a spare for Steelsmith in the 8th frame. Guy moves to the left lane. Bo, when's your next outing again? Competitive?
Well, Bo Burton will obviously be up there for the auditorium show in Erie, and then going over for the Bud Light in Sayville, New York. See if I can improve on a 201 average.
Okay. Amazing how this crowd is split between Steelsmith and Voss. Steelsmith has a tremendous number of fans here in Toledo, Ohio.
And they're well earned. Right now, Voss must strike. Trails by 25, can cut the lead to 15. This is the lane he's had trouble on throughout the match. It will be very difficult to win if he doesn't strike here. I've watched him for years. He reminds me a little bit, to not belabor the point, Walter Ray Williams Jr. They bowl better when they're behind in a match. Just about the time you think you're ready to hang Voss out to dry, here he comes. With 2 more strikes, guess who would be leading this match going into the 10th for Steelsmith? Brian Voss.
Takes those deep breaths, deep exhalations, and then performs. Bo lofting it out on the lanes that time. Really good.
The old-timers like Ned Day, Andy Verapapa used to call it, you have to have a Sunday ball. And I know it's Saturday afternoon, but Voss just threw his Sunday ball there. He needs to call on it one more time to take the lead and force Steelsmith to strike for the national championship. What a disappointment. Just too much toy right here. Watch the ball. He thinks it's going to settle up in the pocket. It's the same thing that faked Norm Duke out. It drives through. He leaves the 4-9. The best he can end up with is 190. Right now, Rick Steelsmith needs a mark and 3 pins for his first singles title on the PBA Tour. 3-year exemption to the Brunswick Tournament Champions. And a new national championship. 1 mark, spare a strike, and 3 pins. Here we go, last shot of the tournament.
Voss in with a 190. High five from Brian to the winner, Rick Steelsmith. Okay, here in Toledo, we'll take a break. We'll be back. Rick Steelsmith, the champion. Finish. Down on the approaches, Rennie Elias ready to present the first Eddie Elias trophy to the winner of the PBA National Championship with Darryl Ducat, his trophy from the lanes, and the champion is Rick Steelsmith, 218 to 190. Stay tuned now for the LPGA's Nabisco Dinosaur. That's coming up next, right here on ABC.